Guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for The Americans Season 2, Episode 11, Stealth. And this, oh my god, guys, this episode I loved it. It was so good. And I think something really bad is going to happen to Phillip and Elizabeth, because by this episode, yeah, definitely shit's going down, the tension's heating up, and it's definitely going to be a very exciting final 2 episodes of the season, and I personally cannot wait. I think this episode really was it was that intense, and what I really like is that really everything connected in this episode. I just thought that was definitely very well done. So let's just start out with basically the beginning of the episode. We see Anton, who is still being held captive. We haven't seen Anton in a very long time, but he's still being held captive by the Russians, and he's being forced to create new stealth aircrafts. So, Anton alerts the man that he needs RAM, which is radar absorbent material, in order for the plane to be able to fly under the radar. So, I thought that was interesting. That was definitely an interesting scene. An interesting way to start the episode, I thought. It was kind of weird, but you know, Paige is still having that whole conflict, and Paige arrives at home from her study group, and she asks Elizabeth, she basically says, why can't I just go to the summer retreat this summer? And Elizabeth says, because I'm your mother, and when Paige pressures her to tell her why she has been forbidden to go, you know, basically, she wants to know why, and Elizabeth just says, well, I'm your mother, I make the rules, and I'm starting to see both of their points in this episode. You know, Phillip and Elizabeth actually have a conversation about this, which I'll get to, but I'm definitely starting to see Elizabeth and Paige's point in this episode. I am starting to see that. So Elizabeth heads upstairs to go to bed, and Phillip enters the room and informs her that the FBI knows a lot about Emmett and Leanne. And, you know, he's very concerned about this because Stan paid their son, especially because Stan paid Jared a visit. And basically they're worried that Jared's going to find out that his parents were the, you know, Russian spies. And then when he finds out that they're Russian spies, he's going to start to get suspicious about Phillip and Elizabeth, and he's going to find out that they were also Russian spies. So obviously, they don't want that to happen, so basically, Elizabeth tells Phillip, I'm gonna go see Jared, I'm gonna, you know, basically, I never gave him that letter from Leanna, and she's devastated that he might find out the truth about his parents from, you know, being not American, so you know, she's very worried that he's going to find out from Stan and not from his parents, because she's really regretting not giving that letter to him. And you know what? I was very happy they readdressed that, because that episode definitely, I was really surprised she never gave that letter to him, but now she's really starting to regret it, because she's realizing if he finds out from Stan, he's going to be more pissed off than if he were to find out from, say, his parents. You know, he'd be less upset if he found out from his parents. So Stan informs Gad that Leanne and Emmett were both using aliases and going by the names of children who had died years ago. So Gad can tell something is off with Stan. Definitely something is very off, and Stan confesses that things are unsettled at his home, which we know they are, because we know things are not going well for him. And you know, they're trying to figure out things about They're trying to figure out things about Leanne and Emmett, and he's very close to finding out who they are, but something is definitely off about Stan in this episode. Nina is briefing Arcady. Oleg goes on the recent developments of Stan's marriage. Arcady informs her she needs to get up the ante and get Stan to give her information on the American stealth plans. And basically what he's telling her is that she needs to stop pretending that, you know, she needs to give up the act of just being with him, basically. And you know what I really like seeing this episode is I kind of have a feeling that Nina's going to die this season. I've said it over and over again. I think Nina is going to die this season, because the way that they had this plot go in this episode, I definitely think she's going to die. And by the way, this was not really an individual plot, because it still had to do with the whole Emmett and Leanne thing in stealth, and that was the whole episode, so yeah. So then Elizabeth arrives at Jared's house, you know, in disguise, still pretending to be the child social worker, and he reveals to her that an FBI agent paid him a visit, and he informs Elizabeth that Stan showed him pictures, and he's not stupid. So he's starting to try to figure out, he's starting to put some things together, and, you know, Elizabeth gets very worried after this. She goes to a pizza restaurant. She follows him into her car, and a woman comes to meet her, and it turns out that it's actually Kate, and she's even wearing a disguise. So this starts to make Elizabeth very, very suspicious of Kate. Very suspicious of Kate. Very sort of like, what's going on here? And I was very surprised at the moment. I'm like, that's Kate. Why is she not in disguise? We find out why a little bit later, but Phillip goes undercover as a Vietnam vet to get closer to a man who is claiming that the army poisoned him. And you know what? He's got a straggly beard and everything, like a straggly beard all the way down to here. He literally looked like Gandalf. Like, seriously. Can we just call Phillip Gandalf in this episode? Because he looked like Gandalf in those scenes. I will say that. I don't watch Lord of the Rings, but I know what Gandalf looks like. He looked like... He did. He looked like Gandalf. Basically, he meets him in the lobby of a doctor's office and bumps into him, steals his wallet, and when he can't pay for his medicine, Phillip steps up to the counter and pays it up for him. So, Oleg sneaks into Nina's office and informs her that he has something for her. A young pioneer pin, just like the one she told him she used to wear when she was a little girl. Kind of a sweet scene there, because as you know, they were childhood friends, and I like that scene. So, Elizabeth calls Phillip at home, briefs him about Jared. She reveals that he is meeting with Kate and is confused about why. So Kate arrives at home, and here is where the episode just got awesome. I love this next scene. I love this. I thought this was fantastic. I thought this was probably one of the best scenes. You know, this is why this episode is the best episode of the season, because Kate arrives at home, she walks through her apartment nervously, she bolts to the bathroom, grabs a gun, and Larrick is in her apartment. He slams her against the wall and wrestles her to the ground. If you guys remember, Larrick called Kate in the last episode, and, you know, he called her in the last episode, so obviously that's why he called her. We don't know why that happened, but he just attacks her, and I was just like, holy shit, now it's intense. It definitely was just, this whole scene is just really intense, and I love that about this scene. So, then what happens is, basically, Phillip pays Stan a visit, and, basically, just, you know, just try to be a friend, because, you know, Stan just thinks Phillip is an average guy, and I do like the friendship that the kind of, like, fake friendship that Phillip and Stan have. I do like that, because, you know, if Phillip wasn't this big, if, you know, Phillip wasn't against Stan, I would like their friendship, and I do like their fake friendship, but I like seeing their friendship, but, you know, we know it's not real. And he pays Stan a visit, and he tells him that Henry wants to interview him for a school project since he is an FBI agent, so, you know, he tells him that. So then Arcady takes Oleg aside, tells him that if Nina fails her stealth mission with Stan, the Sentry is sending her back to Moscow, putting her on trial for treason because she gave Stan classified information, and Arcady informs Oleg it is out of his hands, so there's really nothing they can do about it if that happens. So then we get, as I told you, there is a scene where they talk about Paige. Phillip and Elizabeth are basically discussing what they're going to do about Paige. And basically, Phillip tells Elizabeth we should just let her go to the church camp for the summer. And basically, I really liked Elizabeth's point. We really get to see the reason why Elizabeth really doesn't want her to go. It turns out she does not want Paige to go because she's afraid that Paige is going to tell them the wrong things, or that she thinks that possibly there could be someone there who might know about them, and they might get found out, or something bad could happen there. But Phillip says, hey, just let her have a little bit of fun, you know, we gotta let her have some sort of freedom around here. She's not a little girl anymore, you know, we gotta let her have some sort of freedom. So I definitely see both of their points, and I like that about this episode. You know, it wasn't like Elizabeth's being really, the last few episodes has been Elizabeth's going way too far and being really annoying, and Phillip is the reasonable one. This episode, they're both pretty reasonable, because Elizabeth is saying, well, you know, if she goes, she could be found out, you know, we could be, you know, found out about, and that's not going to be good for us, obviously. But Phillip is saying, let's give her some freedom, so ultimately, that's what they're trying to talk about. So, meanwhile, Larrick has Kate tied up completely, searching her apartment, and he hooks up her radio so that he can receive her message from her agents. And it turns out the reason he wants Kate so much is because he's taunting Kate, tells her that it's not her he wants the ones that killed his friends. And of course, the ones that killed his friends are Phillip and Elizabeth, and he asks where they are, and she spits in his face. She's not telling them anything, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here, but I think, honestly, she's going to have to tell him. She has no choice but to tell him, because she's tied up, and if she doesn't tell him, she's going to die. If she does die, though, Claudia could come back in the picture, which I do want that to happen, because Claudia was in, 2 episodes this year? Yeah, she was in 2 episodes, and because of that happening, you know, I would like to see possibly Claudia come back at the end of the season. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would like to see that happen. I would like that. But definitely Kate is probably going to have to tell him the truth, because she has no other choice. So Oleg finds Nina, confronts her about the treason she committed. She thinks that Oleg doesn't want anything to do with her since she committed treason, but he reveals it is the opposite. He's worried about her. He reveals to her that Arkady is going to send her back to Moscow if her plan fails. He tells her if Stan isn't going to fall for it, then she has to run. And basically she says, well, Stan will do anything for me. He would even, you know, betray his own country for me, which is true. Stan would do that. And basically Oleg is saying, give up. I think Oleg kind of is, you can definitely see that Oleg is getting tired of the act from Nina pretending to like Stan. He's getting a little tired of that because he is in love with Nina. He knows that she loves him, and, you know, it definitely is interesting there. I'm starting to figure out, though, you know, which one is real. I'm pretty sure that the Oleg one is real. However, she didn't really say anything to him. So I definitely thought that was definitely an interesting scene. So then Phillip meets that, Phillip, once again, he's in disguise with that straggly beard and everything, and he pays the vet he met at the clinic a visit. He returns his wallet that he lifted off from him, and Phillip tells him that he can help him with money for his cancer pills if he tells him about RAM. He passes him an envelope of money, and the vet reveals that RAM didn't work. He goes on to tell Phillip that they used tiny microscopic iron balls suspended in paint, and the fumes killed the bats and killed him too. His cancer spread to his brain, and he makes little to no sense. So basically, it's not good for him. Basically, this guy is no use to Phillip at all. So that scene, you know, he was no use to Phillip because he's basically gone crazy. So obviously that's not good. So, Phillip returns home, and Elizabeth informs him that they still haven't heard from Kate. The center wants her to go to their address and check on her, and obviously they're very worried about Kate because she's their handler, and Paige then interrupts her parents, and I really liked what Paige said here, because I really like this speech. I actually think this was probably one of the best speeches, probably the best speech that Paige has given in the entire show. She tells him that a group from the church is going to naval base to protest nuclear bombs, and Elizabeth shocks Paige, tells her that she can go, and basically, you know, Paige says to her, look, I know that you want to protect me, and I know that you're my parents, and you have to protect me from dangerous situations, but you can't, the one thing that you can't change is who I am. This is who I am, this is who I want to be, and surprisingly, Elizabeth says yes. Which I was definitely surprised about, but you know what? I understand why she said yes. She basically was realizing, I can't fight with her anymore. I can't fight with her anymore if this is what she wants to do, and if I want to be a good parent to her. She does, you know, she does care about Paige. Paige is her daughter, obviously. She does love her. So, she wants her to go to this thing because she thinks it'll be good for Paige, probably. She thinks it'll be a good thing for Paige to go to. She thinks it'll probably be good for Paige to, you know, for Paige to go there. She probably thinks that, you know, it'll be a good separation from her parents because she's really not getting along with her parents very well. So I'm definitely happy that Elizabeth did say yes to her at that point. I was shocked, but I was happy that she said yes. So then, Henry is interviewing Stan about his job as an FBI agent, which Phillip said was going to happen. I kind of feel like, though, that was more of a distraction to Stan, so he does not find out about Phillip and Elizabeth. I think that's kind of what that was supposed to be. Phillip and Elizabeth head over to Kate's house to check on her, and, you know, she's not there. She's nowhere to be found because she's probably tied up, and they find this secret message that she has written in the bathroom. And this scene was this was so intense. I'm like, but they can't read what the message says because they go under this, they see this, like, toilet paper handle, and under the toilet paper, handle, they see, like, this message, but they can't read it because it's, like, just, like, symbols of some sort, so they have to decode it somehow. So I definitely thought that whole scene was interesting, and I was very intense scene there, and, so then what happens is Nina barges into the room where she meets Stan. She realizes she has to make a very difficult, very difficult decision. Does she want to what does she want to do? Basically, she informs him that she has to run away. Moscow knows about the information she gave him. He comforts her and he reassures her that nothing is going to happen to her. So, she just betrayed Oleg. She did. She betrayed Oleg, and, because Oleg said, she needs to confront, basically she said that, basically, he said, well, she didn't betray Oleg, actually she didn't, because he said she had to run. So she listened to Oleg, so clearly she does care about Oleg, definitely, we do see that here. But now she has ran away. I don't know if she's run away now, so I don't know if what's going to happen to her, but I don't think it's going to work for her, because, as I said, I do think Nina's going to die, and I do think Stan's going to find out the truth, about Nina in this season. Now, the very end of the episode, was very, very big, because Elizabeth and Philip then rush home, and they decide to decode the message, because they can't read what the message says, obviously, and guess what it says? It says 3 very important words, which I really, oh my god, I'm really looking forward to see what this means in the next episode. And the 3 words are very simple. It says, get Jared out. And that's how the episode ends. And I'm just like, oh. So, obviously, I mean, this is pretty big, because if they don't, it makes sense why it says get Jared out, because basically get Jared out of his house, because if they get him out of his house, Stan will not come back to his house to try to talk to him about the truth about, he will not find out about Phillip and Elizabeth. He will not find out that his parents are Russian spies. And I think they mean to just get Jared out and bring him somewhere new. So, in the next episode, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be all about them getting Jared away from where he's living. And I personally can't wait. I think it's going to be a fantastic episode, and I cannot wait for it. And this is by far the best episode of the season. I thought everything was great in this episode. The acting, oh my god, the acting in this episode was so good. All performances were great. But I do think, as I said, Philip and Elizabeth are going to be discovered in the next 2 episodes. There are 2 episodes left of the season. Let me just say, but real quick, Season 2 has been so much better than Season 1. Season 1 I was into, but not as intense as Season 2. Season 2 is just so much better. And the thing is that, the thing I really love about the season is that, as I said, they're probably going to be found out about in one of the next 2 episodes, because Stan's just very, very close to finding out about them, and I think he's going to. So, what I love about this episode, as I said, is that everything connected in this episode. Everything connects with everything. So, I have a couple questions, though. Are Philip and Elizabeth going to be able to successfully get Jared out of his house without telling him the truth? Are they going to tell him the truth here before Stan does? I really don't know. Because then he's going to be like, how did you know this? And it's going to be interesting to see, because if, say, Elizabeth does tell him, she'll be in her social worker disguise, so if she tells him that, she'll have to then rip off her disguise and tell him, that they are Russian spies, and if she tells him that, then he is going to have to, keep that secret, and they're not going to know if they can trust him, so that's going to be interesting, obviously. I feel like Jared will be a huge part of Season 3. Whatever happens, Jared is going to play a huge part in Season 3, because I feel like he is going to find out the truth about Philip and Elizabeth, and he's going to have to keep it from, everyone around him. As far as Paige goes, I am happy that Elizabeth finally said Paige can go. I'm happy that happened, but what else is going to happen with Paige? Paige was very suspicious in the beginning of the season, so I do think that's going to come back and, very suspicious of her parents in the beginning of the season, so I do think that is going to come back into play. Will Nina successfully run away? Where is she going to run away to? I don't really know. Also, do you think that she is really on Oleg's side, or is she with Stan? I'm not really sure in this episode. It seemed like she was pretty much on Oleg's side in this episode, but I'm really not sure at this point. It just seems like she's kind of torn. Also, Kate. Is Kate going to tell Larrick the truth about Philip and Elizabeth? Is she going to tell them where they are? She kind of has no choice, because she said get Jared out, but the thing is she kind of has no choice but to tell him, because if she doesn't, something bad could happen to her. We don't know where she is or anything, because she's obviously not in her apartment, so I don't know where where Larrick took Kate, but we'll have to see. But by far, this is the best episode of the season. Everything was really, really intense in this episode. The most intense episode of the season by far. Most intense episode of the series by far. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I love this episode. Fantastic episode. That's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Vampire Diaries. So see you then. Bye.